Hey, what is going on everyone? In today's video, I'm going to show you the entire process from leaving your existing scenario or server and joining a new one. Now, this has been a highly requested video, so I really hope it helps out. And of course, if it does, feel free to like and subscribe to help support the channel. But without further ado, let's get into it. First off, I think it will be helpful to do a quick overview of scenarios, servers, and seasons, as I get a lot of questions about those. So the server that you're currently in has a specific scenario, which is basically the theme of the server. You can almost think of a scenario as like a game mode with specific rule sets for that server. Currently, we have two options for scenarios: the Manibus scenario for PvE and Evolution's Call scenario for PvP. When you're in game, you can hit escape, and up in the top right, this is the scenario that you're in. So you can see I am in the Manibus Novice scenario for this server. Now, each scenario is set within the time frame of a season, with the duration of that season varying according to the specific scenario. But honestly, I think using the term seasons is pretty confusing because seasons in this game aren't like seasons in other games. So for the rest of the video, I'm not going to be referring to it as a season. I'll just say scenario or server to hopefully make it more clear. Now, our current scenario has 6 phases, and each server is on its own timeline. So your server's phase is based on when your server opened. So if your server opened this week, then you're going to be on phase 1. If your server opened a few weeks ago, you may be on phase 3 or 4. To see when the next phase opens on your server, it will show beneath the title of the phase. So I've clicked on phase 1 here. You can see it says completed, but normally this would have a countdown going into the next phase. So you can see all these phases are marked as completed, but if I go to phase 6, you can see it has a countdown where it ends in 23 days and 23 hours. Now, once your server hits the settlement phase, which is phase 6 in our existing scenarios, you can have the option to sign up for your next scenario and server. The settlement phase lasts about 4 weeks, so during those 4 weeks in phase 6, you can play your server as you normally would and prepare to move to your next server. But if your server isn't in phase 6 yet, you don't need to worry about signing up for a new server. You only need to worry about that when your server actually hits the settlement phase, which is phase 6. Now, if you're in phase 6 in your settlement phase on your current server, and if you don't choose a new server or scenario to sign up for before the settlement phase ends, your server will be closed and your character will be sent to Eternaland until you decide to sign up for a new server, which you can do at any time. Alright, now let's talk quickly about item transfers to Eternaland, because I've had a ton of people confused about this as well. Firstly, you do not need to transfer anything to Eternaland. I repeat, you do not need to transfer anything to Eternaland. When you move to a new server, or if your settlement phase ends on your current server, all of your eligible items will automatically be sent to your space-time backpack in Eternaland, which seems to have an unlimited amount of space. So everything in your chest, backpack, and anywhere else will automatically be sent to your space-time backpack. The only footnote here is that the developers said that if you had placed any of your deviations in a friend's territory, you need to remove them from their territory to have them transfer. I also do know there is a task for moving items to Eternaland, but I'm not really sure why the developers added that if everything just moves over automatically. Now, I mentioned eligible items, so what counts as an eligible item? Well, the developers made these handy graphics here that show everything that can get transferred over to a new server, as well as things that will get wiped. So I will link those in the description down below, but later in the video, we'll also just take a first-hand look when I actually transfer my character over to the next server, and you'll be able to see everything that I keep and everything that is destroyed. Just as an FYI, you keep most of the things that you have, so the list of things that actually end up getting destroyed is actually pretty small, but like I said, I'll show you that later in the video. And just a quick tip about your energy links. Technically, you do lose all of your energy links when you go into your next server. However, all of your energy links will transfer into Astral Sand. And for those of you who don't know, Astral Sand is used to build things in Eternaland. So there is a 1-to-1 ratio of energy links to Astral Sand. So just keep that in mind, is that your energy links will convert over into Astral Sand when you move into your new server. Now let's talk about signing up for a new server or scenario. So signing up for a new server and scenario is pretty easy. When the settlement phase starts, there will be a countdown for when signups are available on your settlement phase screen. And then once they are available, all you have to do is click sign up. So when you click sign up, this is where you're choosing the next scenario that you want to go into. So there are 4 options here. However, options 3 and 4 are not available yet. The Way of Winter is an upcoming new PvE scenario that should be available in October, and Prism's First Clash is a new upcoming PvP scenario that should be available in September. And you'll notice the other 2 scenarios have the same name as our existing scenarios, and that's because they are the same scenarios. However, they're basically a New Game Plus version of them. So I'm going to click into the Manibus scenario because that's the current one that I'm on, and I want to do this one again. So if I click into Manibus here, you can see that there is now the server selection screen. I actually have a video that goes into more depth about this screen in particular, so I've linked that down below if you're interested, but I'll cover everything in a nutshell right here. You basically have a few things that you want to keep an eye on. So first off, you want to take a look at the server opening time. Some of these servers are already open and they'll be marked as open. Some of them will say starting soon, and then you will see the time that they actually open. You'll also see a little person icon here as well, and this indicates how many spots are available for that server. So when you sign up for a server, you're essentially reserving a spot for yourself for when that server opens. So if I look at these green ones here, you can see it says plenty of spots available. And then if I go to yellow, it says almost full. And then the server that I've actually signed up for right here, it actually says limited spots available with this red icon. So if you do want to join a server with your friends, you're going to need to make sure that your friends sign up for the same server before the spots fill up. And then there are 2 other icons right here. The first icon is going to indicate the difficulty of that server, and then the second icon is indicating the modifiers for that server. So our difficulty options right now are normal, which is actually more difficult than what we previously had. If you remember, when I showed the Manibus server that I was on, it said novice, which basically means it's on easy mode. So even going to a normal difficulty server, it should be a little bit more difficult than what we previously had. And then of course you have the hard difficulty servers here as well. And then you'll notice that there are these modifier icons here right next to the difficulty icons. So we have a blue and a yellow one, as well as a green and an orange one. So the blue and the yellow one here you can see is for void balance. This is related to the different super anomalies in this server. Super anomalies are a new type of deviant where basically you need to use a certain type of weapon or a certain damage type in order to defeat them. And then there's also some specific items that will be available on void balance servers from the Wish Machine. And then there's also new calibration blueprint categories or styles where basically you can get these by disassembling dropped gear, which you normally do for calibration blueprints, or by defeating super anomalies, and they just have some extra perks. So for example, the frugal style calibration blueprint will be for pistols and sniper rifles, and it allows for more ammo replenishment from missed shots. So you can take a look at all these different styles in these different servers here. And then if we move into the green and orange variant here for these modifiers, you can see there's different types of super anomalies, as well as different items available in the Wish Machine, as well as different categories for these calibration blueprints. But like I said, I do have a video going more in depth about all this stuff in the description, so I highly encourage you to check it out if you're interested in that. Also, if you do sign up for the Manibus or Evolutions Call servers, but you do plan on transferring over to the September new PvP scenario or the October new PvE scenario, just keep in mind that right now you can only transfer over to another server during the settlement phase of your existing server. So if you are on Evolutions Call or Manibus, and let's say you're only on phase 3 and then Prism's First Clash comes out and you want to transfer over to it, As of right now in the game, you would have to wait until phase 6 in your existing server in order to transfer over to one of the new scenarios. So just keep that in mind. So really all you need to know about signing up for a new server is being in the settlement phase, phase 6 in our current scenarios, clicking sign up, choosing a scenario that you want to join, choosing a difficulty as well as deciding which modifier you want to join in, and then just signing up for that server. And once it opens, you can then move over to that server. So here are some preparation tips before you move into your next server. First off, you're going to want to head into your season shop here. And if you are in phase 6, you'll see there is a new Starcrom exchange section that unlocks. And basically, you will be able to spend 390,000 energy links to buy all of these Starcrom crates, which total 4,000 Starcrom. So be sure to do this before you move to your next server. Also, I would recommend bringing over an advanced electric rock drill as well as an advanced logging chainsaw. These are unlocked through your memetics, and your memetics will get reset, but you will be able to transfer these over to your new server, and they'll just help you get started in the early game. We'll talk up exactly how to transfer these over into your new server in just a little bit, but just an FYI, you'll probably want to at least craft one of each of those just so that you can have them to transfer to the next server. I also recommend making a few of these canned seafood and oils. That will also help you when you're mining and logging in the early game to really stock up on resources. And since your memetics will be getting wiped and all of your energy links will be turned into astral sand for use with building in Eternaland, I recommend resetting all of your memetics to really just try to maximize your energy links. So the way that you can do that is you just click on any of these sections here in your memetics and choose the first node, and then you can click reset memetic, and everything that that node is attached to will be refunded. So you can see that I'll be getting 17,000 energy links as well as these ciphers, which will get wiped anyway. But the energy links, like I said, will be transferred to astral sand. So you're not getting a ton of energy links here, but it's just a good way to try to maximize the amount of energy links that you will have that then get transferred over into astral sand. So if I click on this, you can see this entire tree is now locked again, and you can go ahead and do this for all the different categories. I also have a ton of other tips in a video I made a few weeks ago, but this was before we knew all the details about what could transfer over. So a majority of things I mentioned in that video are still valid, but I would ignore anything I say about deviations or calibration blueprints specifically, as we didn't know that they would transfer at that time. But I'll link that video down in the description below if you would like to take a look at it. All right, so now it is time to actually show the new server process. You can see that my new server is now open. However, I am not able to actually transfer to it yet because if you are a hive leader or warband leader, you need to either transfer that ownership to someone else or disband those things before you actually transfer over. So that's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to head directly into my hive, and I am going to just disband the hive right now. And then that will let me actually go ahead and transfer over to the new server. So I'm going to be showing you, this is the raw process here. We're going to click on this. You can see it says start new season. If I click on that, it says once you move to the new server, you will not be able to return, confirm and proceed. So this is a little scary right here, but let's go ahead and confirm. And here we go. Like I said, this is going to be the full process here. I want to show you guys how exactly this works. All right, so we are now in the new server here. You can see it says a new scenario is open. We're now on that hard server that I showed earlier, and we are in phase 1 of that server. You can see it says it ends in 67 days and 23 hours. And then we can get all the details about phase 1 here. And then if we click on season details, we've got that same kind of phases here that we had on the previous server. Because this is still the Manibus scenario, it's just going to be in the hard mode. So it just kind of drops you in right here, and you basically just need to find a suitable location to place your territory. So as soon as you land, it will show you 2 different task modes that you can choose. You can choose the complete mode, which is basically doing every task in completion. It's the full mode if you want something that is completely unchanged from what we just had. So you'll be able to do every step of every task that is available in the server. Or there's a simplified mode, which is a more streamlined experience with only the essential task guidance. So I'll be choosing the simplified mode because I've already done a lot of the tasks in the previous server, and this is the same type of scenario. It's Manibus again, so I am not going to choose the complete option. I'm going to choose the simplified option. Now, once you choose an option here, you cannot change to a different option. So make sure that you know which task mode you want to do. Both task modes will have the same rewards regardless of which one you choose, so just keep that in mind. You can choose the simplified one and you'll still get the same rewards as the complete one. So I'm going to choose simplified right here, and obviously it says you won't be able to switch this later. So I am sure I want to play the simplified mode, and I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And as soon as you go into your backpack, this screen will show up first. So this will show you all of the resources that you've inherited from the last server. So you can see all my star chrom, you can see my energy links were converted to astral sand. I have all my Mitsuko's marks, silver keys from the battle pass, my tools, combat stuff, materials, consumables, my ammo, my armor, my guns, and my deviations. And if you head to the other tab here, this will show things that were destroyed. So you lost Staroid, which was specific to that last scenario. And then we also lose memory fragments as well as anything that's really tied to specific mimetic specializations like a solar drill. You also lose your access cards for Rosetta, as well as your access permits that you can use in the workshop defenses, and just some minor, other kind of lore sort of quest items as well. So most things you do end up keeping, but these are some things that were destroyed for me. Now this is my backpack in the new server, so you can see I only have a little bit of copper pistol ammo. I've also got some stuff here that they gave me. I have no materials. I have these special items here, so you keep your weapon mod parts and your armor mod parts, as well as your Lightforge metals, your stellar planula, sproutlets, your chrysalis tokens, and your butterfly die. You also do keep these single-use construction items, which we weren't 100% sure about, but you do end up keeping these, as well as these ones that you might have purchased in the shop, whether that's the season shop or the paid shop. They are bound to your character, so you have all of those. And then in deviations, you just start with the butterfly's emissary, so you automatically have that one. Now, in terms of where all those other resources went, like I mentioned earlier in the video, everything gets sent to the space-time backpack. So you can toggle that right on the bottom right here, and then you're able to look at everything in the space-time backpack. So here's all of my tools, my calibration blueprints, ammo, all that sort of stuff. I also have all my consumables here, so fish and water and all that sort of stuff I use for cooking. And then we also have our materials. Everything is right in here. So this is all in the space-time backpack. It's not accessible to me in my main server right now, but I'll show how to do that in just a second. I have nothing in the special tab here. In the construction tab, these are just specific things that I had in Eternaland, so that I can only use them in Eternaland, so that's not really important. And then you do have all of your deviations here as well. So in order to transfer things from your space-time backpack to your season backpack, you're going to use this option right here for transfer to season backpack. When you click on this, you will see you have 20,000 out of 20,000 resource points. And the items that you're going to be choosing on the left here from your space-time backpack cost a certain amount of resource points. There's actually a YouTuber out there, Wilkie, who's provided a great Google sheet with a lot of the costs for a lot of the different things in the game. So I'll link that down below if you are interested in checking that sheet out to see how much things cost. But for example, deviations will cost 800 resource points. So if I go ahead and deposit this gingerbread house, for example, you can see now I have 19,200 out of 20,000. So it's going to use 800 resource points for me to transfer this deviation into my server backpack. So the quantity and rarity of the items also depends on how much resource points will be used when you go to transfer it. So for example, I have this copper pistol ammo right here. If I just put one of them in there, you can see one round of ammo is going to cost 3 resource points. But then if I go ahead and do the green version of pistol ammo right here, you see that's going to cost 6. If I go ahead and use tungsten here, this is going to cost, 20? So you can see the different rarities of items will also use different amounts of resource points. You can also transfer animals over, and it seems like every animal is going to cost 300 resource points, regardless of the size or the grade of the animal. And if we take a look at weapons right here, you can see that if I put in a tier 5 weapon, such as my tier 5 Boom Boom, which is right here, this is going to cost 10,000 resource points. So half of my resource points would just be for this one weapon right here. And then if I go over to armor as well, if I choose a tier 5 armor piece, this is going to cost 5,000 resource points. So if I wanted to bring over one weapon that is tier 5 and then one armor piece that's tier 5, that's going to use 75% of my resource points. So I don't recommend doing that, especially since you need to be level 40 at least to use a tier 5 item, so it doesn't really make sense to do that right away. And it's also important to remember, you don't need to use all your resource points right away. You can choose to use them whenever you would like to. So if you're out in the world, let's say you're level 30 and you decide you need more of a resource, you can just, I'll hop into my space-time backpack here and I don't know, let's say I need more sulfur. I can just transfer over a certain amount of sulfur as I need it. So you don't need to transfer everything as soon as you get into the server. Some things that I do recommend transferring over, at least in the early game, that can help you out are, like I said, it's like the advanced electric rock drill and the logging chainsaw, as well as like canned seafood and oil that can really help you, as well as like materials for solar panels so you can get your base powered pretty quickly, as well as materials for like an electric furnace so that you don't need to be burning wood as you're trying to use a furnace with the regular furnace has, and then even like really early game like deviations like Digby Boy, or even like the logging beaver perhaps, that can just kind of help you get resources passively when you're not playing. Also, something important to note is that when you transfer items from your space-time backpack to your season backpack, they will be temporarily bound to your character for 6 days. So you can see this advanced electric rock drill that I transferred. It says unlinking in 5 days, 22 hours, and 39 minutes. So you will not be able to trade this with other players or even put it in a chest. So make sure that when you're transferring items over, you're not transferring them in such large quantities that your character is going to be overweight. You want to make sure that you're transferring things in smaller quantities when you need it and not transferring over something like 1,000 salt, for example, because that will be stuck on your character for 6 days until you're able to move it into a chest. Also, when you do transfer items over, it will tell you that it will place it in the territory vault here, but mine actually went directly to my backpack, so I'm not really sure why it says that, but just as an FYI, it should go directly into your backpack. And you can see on the new server here, all of my mimetics are locked, so they've all been reset right here, as well as my mimetic specialization. So the first thing it's going to ask you to do is place down your territory terminal, just like you did for the last server. And then if you actually go into your build mode and go to house blueprint, you'll see that it actually saves your last season's territory as well. So it kind of makes a little backup of it. It does this automatically. So even if you've already made one, which I already did, called main base here, it'll do it automatically. Just keep in mind that the required materials are right here. So even when you go to build this, if you don't have the required materials, you won't be able to build the entire thing. It'll ask you for these materials, so just keep that in mind. Maybe this is something you do want to transfer over in your, from your space-time backpack, but just as an FYI, if you do want to build the same base, you will still need those materials, but luckily the entire territory is automatically saved when you transfer over to a new server. Also, for those wondering, you do need to rebuild the garage, obviously, because your mimetics do reset, and your motorcycle does not bring over the upgrades that you've had. I know that was a question because technically, the motorcycle was like a crafted item, but no, you do need to build up the upgrades for your motorcycle. And then also for the Stardust Resonator, I know you can only do 40 per week, 40 Cortexes per week. And right before I actually transferred over, I did my purification event on my previous server, so I hit the 40 out of 40 limit, but I actually just built a Stardust Resonator here, and you can see that that limit was then reset. So make sure that you do your weekly purification before you transfer over as well. And there you have it, folks. That is how you can move into the next scenario and the next server. If there's anything I didn't cover in the video, be sure to join our Discord community linked down in the description down below. I'm happy to answer any other questions in the Discord, or of course, leave a comment down below and I will do my best to answer any of your questions. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it helped you out. If you did enjoy it, be sure to like and subscribe to help support the channel. I've got a lot more Once Human content planned, especially now that I'm on this hard server. We're going to be taking a look at some of the new things that are available on the server, like the super anomalies. So be on the lookout for videos around that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.